This is Petey the cat. He started in the Dogman series as the bad guy, the cat who tried to destroy the city over and over again, and then he accidentally cloned himself, ended up raising the clone as his son, and slowly turned into the best character in Dogman. And in the last 2 books, Petey has been missing. He isn't in Dogman Big Jim Believes at all, not one panel, not one mention, and that's the only book in the entire series where that has ever happened. Even the author Dave Pilkey made a whole video called Where is Petey just to explain where his most popular character went. Then in Big Jim Believes, Petey finally turns up. For exactly 1 moment. He's a newborn baby asleep on his mom's lap in a flashback that belongs to Grandpa, the father who once abandoned him. And 2 years after he disappeared, the cover of the upcoming Dogman 15 dropped. That's not Petey, but his dad, Grandpa, and he is time traveling. So today I'm going to show you 7 clues that Dogman A Sprinkle in Time is very bad news for Petey the cat. Clue 3 is hiding inside the title of the book and almost nobody has spotted it. Clue 6 finally answers one of the biggest mysteries in all of Dogman: why is Petey's tail flat? And clue 7 comes straight from the publisher Scholastic themselves, and it's the scariest one on the whole list. Because if Grandpa goes back in time and changes the way he treated Petey, then everything that made Petey who he is can be changed in the blink of an eye. Petey never becomes Petey at all. Let's start with the clue that's been sitting right in front of us for 2 whole years, because once you work out why Petey vanished, you're already halfway to working out what Dogman 15 is about. Here's what actually happened. Big Jim Begins comes out and Petey isn't in it, and I don't mean he had a small role or a cameo or one line at the end. I mean he doesn't appear and he doesn't get mentioned. That is the only Dogman book where Petey is completely absent from start to finish. Then Big Jim Believes came out around a year later, and it happened again. The only time you see him is that one flashback where he's seen as a baby. Now, when a series makes its best character disappear for 2 books in a row, one of 2 things is going on. Either the author is done with that character, or the author has something very special hiding in the shadows. And we actually know which one it is because Dave Pilkey went and answered it himself. He put out the Where is Petey video through Scholastic, and the explanation is that this whole time Petey has been busy building a space shark. That's right, Petey has spent 2 entire books off screen building a shark that goes into space, which means he isn't gone. He's getting ready for something. And that's the part I can't get past. Petey didn't leave the series. He stepped out of it to go and build something, and Dave Pilkey probably did that on purpose. You don't justify Petey being gone for 2 books because he was building a weapon unless that weapon is gonna be important. So Petey is coming back, and he's coming back with something. But a character who returns after a while usually gets to come back the way he wants, on his own terms. But clue 2 says that Petey isn't the one in control. The second clue is the cover, and it's the one everybody has almost seen and almost everybody has misunderstood. Because if you look at it for 1 second and scroll on, you miss the single most important thing on it. Dogman is falling backwards through a giant spiral, and that spiral is time. And up in the corner, wearing a pair of 3D glasses like this is the greatest night of his life, is Grandpa. Scholastic's official description confirms it in their own words. Grandpa alters the fabric of time and space. Not Dogman, not little Petey, not Petey. Grandpa, the cat who abandoned his own son, the cat who's been in this series since book 7 and who indirectly caused most of the problems in this series. That is the character Dave Pilkey chose to give a time machine to. Out of every single character in this entire universe, Dave Pilkey looked around and gave the ability to rewrite history to the one guy who couldn't be trusted with a family. The only question that actually matters in this whole video is where Grandpa wants to go, and clue 3 has been hiding the answer somewhere you've looked at 100 times without ever noticing it. Most people notice that A Sprinkle in Time is a pun on A Wrinkle in Time, the famous book about kids traveling through time and space. And Dogman titles are always puns like this, so on its own, it barely counts as a clue at all. But go back and open Big Jim Begins and Big Jim Believes again, because in both of those books, Grandpa gets himself a superhero name. They call him Sprinkles. Now, read that title one more time. A Sprinkle in Time. Dave Pilkey put Grandpa's name in the title of the book. And think about what that actually means, because in the world of Dogman, nothing happens by accident. The title on the front cover is quietly telling you that this isn't just a Dogman story that Grandpa happens to be in. This time around, it's Grandpa's story and everyone else is just living inside of it. Which means Grandpa will most likely get to determine where the time machine lands, and clue 4 is the only clue we've actually seen with our own eyes. Right now, there are only a couple of sneak peek pages from book 15 out in the entire world. That's it. That's everything Scholastic has let us explore. And hidden in those pages is something crazy. I'll show you in about 10 seconds. Now, if you're the kind of person who reads too much Dogman for your own good, you should probably subscribe, because I make videos for Dogman fans and Dogman fans only. Anyways, here's what's on the page. Snow falling, or maybe stars, hard to tell. A big grumpy striped cat and a tiny kitten holding on to him. That's Grandpa, and that kitten is Petey. And these two panels tell us a lot about the book, because out of everything Scholastic could have shown us, this was one of the pages they chose to release. And it's not a random panel. That's the publisher telling you exactly what this book is about without ever saying it out loud. Grandpa has the time machine, and Grandpa is going back to Petey's childhood. But here's the part that turns this from a fun theory into something that genuinely worries me, because clue 5 shows that Grandpa has been planning this for a lot longer than any of us realized. Think about the most recent Dogman book, Big Jim Believes. I want you to ask yourself a question. Why would Dave Pilkey bring Petey back for one single panel in an entire book, and then make that panel a picture of him as a baby? Because he's not showing us Petey. Petey doesn't remember being a newborn. Nobody does. That panel isn't in the book so we can see Petey. It's in the book because somebody was thinking about him, and the one doing the thinking is the cat who abandoned him. The part where baby Petey appeared was a flashback of Grandpa's, and it was genuinely a sad story. He made tons of money, he got married, he had a son, he had all the love that anybody could ever need, but he still wasn't happy. It wasn't long before Petey's mom got sick and Grandpa chose to abandon the family. So in book 14, Dave Pilkey spends an entire book showing us a different side of Grandpa, looking back at his past, but also giving hints towards his future. Now, if little Petey has taught us anything, we all know that beneath the layers of has to be something inside of him that regrets what he did, and honestly who he was in his past. And in book 15, he's handed the machine that lets him go there. Everything Dave Pilkey does with his books is on purpose. You don't spend parts of a whole book showing a character reflecting on his past and then give that exact character a time machine unless that time machine is for the past. And what happens to Petey next is the whole problem, because clue 6 finally answers the tail. Okay, the flat tail. This is one of the most asked questions in the entire Dogman community, and for years the honest answer has been nobody knows. But once you line the timeline up, it stops being a small detail and turns into one of the biggest mysteries of the whole series, because it puts Grandpa at the scene of something we've never witnessed before. Here's what we know for certain. Every cat in Petey's known family has a normal rounded tail, except Petey. In the past 14 Dogman books, we've never gotten the definitive reason behind Petey's flat tail, but we do know Grandpa might have something to do with it. And in Dogman For Whom the Ball Rolls, Grandpa almost tells us. He gets right up to the edge of explaining what happens to that tail, and then the moment passes and he never finishes the sentence. Now here's the part that turns this from a random fact into a clue. We have seen Petey as a kid before. In the Critter Scouts flashback of Dogman book 5, young Petey gets blamed for something he didn't even do and gets thrown out of the group. And if you look at his tail in those panels, it's round. So the tail is round while Grandpa was still living with them, the tail is flat afterwards. And whatever happened to it happened inside the exact time window that book 15 is traveling to. The mystery Dave Pilkey has been dangling in front of us for years, and the destination of Grandpa's time machine are the same place. We might finally get that tragic answer in book 15, and I don't think we're gonna like it, which leaves one clue, and this one isn't a theory at all. Scholastic printed it themselves. Every Dogman book gets an official description, like a blurb, and usually they're fun. This one isn't only fun, it reads like a warning, and if you skip past it, you miss the reason all 6 of the other clues actually matter. Here's the exact line, and listen closely. In the newest saga, our anti-hero Grandpa alters the fabric of time and space. Is his evil the necessary soil for Dogman and friends to grow and bloom? Read that second half again. Scholastic is asking if Grandpa's evil was necessary. Necessary for what? For all of it. For everything you love about this series. Because Petey didn't just turn into a villain out of nowhere. It happened out of a direct result of the trauma that Grandpa caused before and after he left. And it's worse than most people remember, because he didn't leave when everything was fine. He left when Petey's mom got sick. Petey and his mom ended up at the Happy Home shelter with almost nothing. They didn't have much money and they didn't have much food. Petey would constantly get angry, misbehave, break things, but his mom forgave him every single time. She kept going for him, and then she passed away, and Petey grew up completely alone. He got even more angry but he also became brilliant. He did end up in jail, but when he finally got out and actually tried to go straight, nobody would give him a job. Not one person. He tells Sarah Hadoff exactly that in Wuthering Heights. That is the exact reason he remained the bad guy. And that Petey, the angry one, the lonely one, the one with something to prove, is the Petey who built the lab, who built the weapon that made Dogman. And best of all, the Petey who accidentally created Little Petey. Which means Little Petey only exists because Grandpa hurt Petey first. So when Scholastic asks if Grandpa's evil was the necessary soil for Dogman and friends to grow and bloom, it's not a cute little gardening line. It's the plot of the whole book. It's time to put all 7 clues on the table. Petey vanished for 2 books, secretly building a weapon. Grandpa has the time machine. The book is named after Grandpa. Grandpa spent part of book 14 reminiscing at his life with baby Petey. One of the sneak peeks that exists is Grandpa with baby Petey. The flat tail mystery lives inside that exact time frame. And Scholastic is openly asking whether any of Petey's suffering ever needed to happen at all. There are 3 ways this goes. Number 1. Grandpa fixes it. He goes back, he stays, he's a decent dad for once in his life. And that's the terrifying one, because a happy Petey doesn't do any of the things he does when he was angry. He wouldn't create Dogman, he wouldn't clone himself, he wouldn't make Little Petey, and the thing is, in this version, Petey never happens. At least not the Petey we know and love. Theory number 2. Grandpa makes it worse. His entire personality is refusing to admit he was ever wrong about anything. Maybe he goes back to make absolutely sure that Petey turns out exactly as bitter and lonely as he did. And theory number 3, Petey goes after him. Remember the space shark that Petey made? He's been quietly building that for 2 straight books while everyone assumed he'd been written out of the series. And maybe this whole thing ends with a son chasing his father through time. So which one is it? The verdict is the first one. I predict that Dave Pilkey is gonna let Grandpa try to erase the worst day of Petey's life. I think Grandpa's gonna try to reverse everything he did. And I think the real story of book 15 is Petey choosing to keep it. Because that's what this series has been telling us for 14 books. Petey didn't become good by deleting his past. He became good because somebody loved him anyway. And honestly, if Dave Pilkey did erase Petey, this fandom would completely lose it. Because for every terrible thing Petey has done, he's still the character this community loves the most. Which got me thinking about the exact opposite. Dogman has a lot of characters, and some of them aren't loved at all. Some of them are genuinely despised. There's one character that almost every fan agrees is the best in the series, and there's one that people cannot stand. And I don't think it's who you'd expect. So in this video, I talk about the most loved and the most hated Dogman characters. Go watch it and subscribe for the best Dogman videos.